Are you ready for this?
We're here! Hi, what's your name?
I'm Joe Fowler.
Hi, I'm Ron Popeil.
That shows anybody?
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Tom Purvis, trainer to the trainers.
Hi, I'm Mike Levy.
Hold on to your power rods.
But wait.
What are you doing?
Call now.
Call now.
Call now. Call now. Call or log on now.
Call now.
Call right now. Call in the next 18 minutes. Call in the next 16 minutes.
Call in the next 7 minutes.
Call these numbers right now.
Hello and welcome to Call Now, where we plunge headfirst into the surreal world of infomercial. And while we can't offer you free shipping, we can guarantee that the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are definitely those of this network. Thank you, Tim. My name is Dan Sturdivant. I'm joined as always by my co-host on this three-man we've known as Call Now. And you've got a 1 in 7 chance of guessing the day of the week this guy was born. It's Mark Madrade. Hey, Mark.
Hey, it's more like Scotty does know and instead of Scotty doesn't know.
I get it. Because he knows stuff. And, I mean, hey, it's a little bit of the tale of tape, but this guy knows a right guard when he sees one. It's Dave Sarandrini. Hello, Dave.
Leave the end and you cut right up. You go on the ass side of the I forget the lingo.
You got to throw the elbow. That's the whole thing. You got to stay low, drop. Yep, you get it. But
Ass?
guys, oh, sorry. Hey, it's family show. Hey, but I thought that I warned you guys when we did our watch party for the human calculator that someone with a more qualified opinion would feel the need to set it straight. And so, for the deep dive, we hedged, right? We brought in our lifelong friend, resident mathematician, high school math teacher for the past decade plus. You know the credentials. We had our good buddy Jared Chivers on for that deep dive, but I don't know if we did enough, because tonight we're joined by a true expert with some, and not an expert in the sense of someone with firsthand or objective opinions to share related to what we watched. We did a bit better than that. We went right to the source. We were able to speak with the man who has not only pulled off the successful evolution of mullet to Caesar, but has also been featured on a couple of programs you may have heard of, like the Oprah Winfrey Show, Ellen DeGeneres Show, a little network called ESPN. Some even call it the worldwide leader. I don't know. Come on, guys.
They do.
Discovery Channel, to name a few. And probably most relevant to present company was his show-stopping performance on Amazing Discoveries featuring his human calculator system, Mr. Scott Flansburg. So, without further ado, here is our conversation with the human calculator himself. Can you record that so I can play that for my wife? See?
Uh-huh. Like, that's what they're doing in the basement? Okay.
Like, that's what you do down there? Yeah, see? Told you. Yeah.
Yeah. You learn quickly, man. People, especially the last 2 years, you learn not to waste your time or waste time with people or things you don't want to do or be with. So
yeah,
you guys wouldn't be here unless you really thought there was something to this and you were genuine about it. So I'm very grateful for that. And, to be honest with you, I'm so entrenched in the basketball world now that the human calculator thing almost feels like a different lifetime ago.
Right. It's like your old alter ego is now merging with your current one. So yeah, we're happy to bring you back into the past a little bit. So, I guess to set the table a little bit, this is a call now first, because to the best of my vast knowledge, this is the first Guinness Book World Record holder that we've had the pleasure of speaking with. So congrats to you and to us, more importantly. But for those who are listening at home, who are going to be checking this out as well, you certainly recognize him from his dazzling 1991 performance on Amazing Discoveries, or maybe when he stopped by a couple little shows you might have heard of, like Oprah or Ellen, or his own show he had on the History Channel International. One of those, I guess, more widely appreciated mediums. But here tonight on Call Now, the human calculator himself, Scott Flansburg, is joining us. We're honored to have you, Scott. Thank you, and welcome to Call Now.
Thank you guys so much for even thinking of me, man. I should have sold a memory program to remind people not to forget me.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know. I think with the Kevin Trudeau lawsuits and the statute of limitations, you might be able to stake a claim. See what you can do.
Wow. I think there's another name from the past, Kevin. I haven't talked to him in years, man. I hope he's okay. It's crazy road he took.
I know.
We could spend an hour on that. So
Yeah, well, I mean, he is due to get out this year. I didn't see we talked about him a little bit ago, looking at the new year as we just turned the calendar into 22, and his name came up, and yeah, we saw that he is due to get out this year. So yeah, I'm sure we'll actually have to deep dive into some more of his stuff too. But I remember the Mega Memory. Did you appear on his program too?
Mega Math.
Oh man, so Mega Math was there, and
Nice.
obviously we learned so much about you and your start of things, for how we understand it, right? So I was going to try to ask you an insightful, thoughtful question to, see how things start, but instead I would rather take a wild swing at what I think happened, and then you can correct us and maybe tell us the truth if you feel like it as well. So,
As you would.
so the way I see it, it's like late 1990, and Scott Flansburg is like burdened by his superpower of inhuman human calculation. Like the numbers come too fast. You're like driving too fast. You're going off the rails a little bit, and it's starting to just kind of pour out of your veins a little bit too much. So then one day you have a chance run in with the individual who become your unknown Sherpa spiritual advisor, who then convinces you that, Scott, you need to bottle and sell this magic. You can do this. You are the man of mathematic. You are the human calculator. I bless you, my son. And from that moment on, you went from being the roving preacher, Scott Flansburg, of doing the local circuit, to being the man we all know, to being the human calculator, to being on the main stage with a big leap off at Amazing Discoveries. Mike Levy wrote you letters every day until he couldn't anymore, because you were the human calculator and the guru that, not that we necessarily needed, but that we wanted for sure. I'm dead right? 100%?
You nailed it, and I miss Mike Levy. I miss his cookie centers. Going back to the 2 days that we filmed that, he taught me one thing. At the end of every sentence, I had to end his sentence with Mike, or start the sentence with Mike. So if you asked me a direct question, I had to say Mike. And you think, wow, what a big ego, right? No, he was getting his brand in there subliminally, because he was selling 50 more products coming. So he got the human calculator, but he had his next product in mind. And he was a brilliant businessman and put together an incredible group of guys and girls that could crunch these shows out in a couple of days and go do it over again. So it was an amazing thing to be a part of.
It's funny, like when we think of the infomercials and commercials we've covered, when we say Mike now, there's no question we're talking about him. It's as important as we saying Ron for Ron Popeil. Like those,
That's right, Mike.
It's crazy.
That's right, Mike.
Yeah, we go we watch so many of these things and try our best to make fun of them, but be good sports about it. And when the first Amazing Discoveries was dropped on us, we were just impressed. We go, whoa, this is really slick.
It's a different
like,
sport.
Yeah. What was it like? What was it like going into that, other than, what was the preparation like?
Minimal. They did a lot of work, but me, I just, they wanted me to just be myself. They knew what they wanted to get out of it. We filmed for, I think, 13 hours the first day of those poor kids that had to sit there and do the numbers and stuff, parents and, production stuff. So, it was looking back, I wish social media would have existed when infomercials started. It would have been a fascinating insight into seeing how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
that's part of what. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say one more thing about Amazing Discoveries, and are you like how much? I know Dave's talking about preparation, but when you're there filming, like, what is it like? Are there a lot of different takes? Like, do you know what's going on in the back room? Like, how much clarity do you have into what you see as the final product? Because we always make fun of the audience, because sometimes we're like, that audience isn't there in some infomercials. Like, they're not there. Like, what is that interaction like? What's the whole 2 days kind of like? And not.
The audience was there. It was painful, but they stuck it out.
They earned it. Yeah.
I guess the advantage I had in that situation was I'm like the fastest in the world at what I do. And I have the most insight into numbers and how to present it. And there really wasn't anybody else to try to match me or do it for me.
Right.
So I ended up serving as much as a producer as I did the talent.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting. Yeah.
and
Cool.
and so despite my, likely hyperbole laden theory on how things got started, what is kind of the origin story for you from this turning from, because like, again, how it kind of comes through is obviously you're in Arizona, you were teaching this and socializing it. Was it your idea to try to make this mass market and try to make it a product, or did someone approach you and be like, honestly, this is insane that like the things you're doing can be taught more broadly. You don't have to keep it within the bubble of the southwest corner of the U.S.
That's a great question. I'm going to take a minute to answer it because it brought back 50,000 memories for me. But, I served in the Air Force for 6 years. And when I got out, I didn't know what I was going to do. And Regis had just had me on a show and called me the human calculator. And I started getting all these requests and became a best-selling author. And, but right before that happened, and when I got out of the service, I had nothing. I was homeless. I went to Arizona because my sister Cindy was stationed there in the Air Force. Wow. She put me up for a month or two, got me started. I borrowed a bike and went to schools every day, just trying to get it going. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a reading company sponsored me and started getting momentum. And, it's just crazy to go back to those days thinking, I'm the human calculator, trying to change the way we teach kids math, and I am a high school dropout, just got out of 6 years of the Air Force, have no college, no training in higher math, and I'm going to teach teachers how to teach math. So good luck. And I'll never forget, we got the phone number 1-800-TRY-MATH, 1-800-TRYMATH, and we set up a radio show. And I did a radio show, and we started getting a lot of calls. And I was like, geez, instead of trying to go school to school and sell a student at a time, I should just go start doing more media. And we got 1-800-TRY-MATH. We moved our office to DC, and I went on CNN. It was the first interview I did with the new number. And I had 20 minutes with Bonnie Batista. Never forget it. And they say, when you walk into the CNN studio back then, they said, you're not allowed to say any 1-800 numbers. There was no internet back then. So, but you couldn't say an 800 number. And I was like, crap, that's why we sort of set this up, was to say
sure.
1-800. And so my business partners, Dennis Lochner was with me and his brother JB, and Dennis goes, hey man, you get that phone number out, and I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to buy you a new car. And I was like, okay. And so I was motivated, and I got lucky. I didn't even try to get it in. A lady called in, asked a question, and at the end she said, Scott, how do I get your program? How do we find you? How do we contact you?
Can't just ignore the poor woman. Yeah.
Right. And Bonnie breaks in, the host, and says, hey, we have that 1-800 number. It's 1-800-TRY-MATH. I said, it's 1-800-879-6284. I still got it out of people. And I could hear Dennis in the green room yelling, like, yeah,
high five his brothers.
Well, JB was, there from the beginning. It was very cool at the moment. Awesome. And then we were driving back from the show that day, and we couldn't get through to our office. The phones were ringing like crazy.
Wow.
And they thought that the 800 number wasn't going to the 800 house where a bunch of people were waiting as operators, but it was just going straight to our office still. And turns out that people were calling and ordering the program, and then getting our phone number to the office, and then calling to try to book me to come to their school.
Whoa.
And since that day, just, game changer. So that was in 1989.
Potato. Yeah.
April 4th, 1990 was the day of the CNN.
And what day of the week was that?
Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys, let's tune in that way. That's, as the human calculator, I meet people through numbers. I tune into them through numbers. So if you guys don't mind, one at a time, let's go alphabetical. All right, we'll make it easier. All right, Dan, David, Mark. So if you don't mind, pick your birthday or a date that you care about. And if you tell me the month, day, and the year, I can calculate what day of the week it was on.
All right.
Pick one, Dan. You're first.
All right, let's go with we'll do June 25th, 1956.
Monday.
I don't know. We need
All
the
right.
bell. We need Ray. We need
I
Ray
know.
from
You guys have computers. I challenge you to race me. Try to do it faster than I can.
no way.
I mean, I already did it. I have it up on my phone.
I'll raise
Okay,
Scott.
great.
Here, hold on.
I'll
Bart,
race Mark.
say the date, and I'll try to type it in.
Okay, so here we go. February 25th, 1986.
Tuesday.
Yep.
All
I got
right.
it as a Monday. Is that bad? Oh, I typed it wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
See?
User error. There's no error with that.
Man, I'm so
All right.
excited.
The human calc.
Human calculator.
He's like,
See?
exactly. He's like, of course you got it as a Monday. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Hold on. April 21st, 1986.
Monday.
Yeah. Marathon Monday.
Yeah. So I was just got kicked out of the Air Force, and to start the human calculator thing, it was 8/8/88, and I was sitting at a bench at Palm Beach Library in Florida, and I was waiting for my flight to see my sister Cindy in Phoenix, and I found a book in the library at the West Palm Beach Library. It was a tiny book. And the guy wrote it like 100 years ago. And he said, hey, there's a pattern in the calendar. And if you're good with numbers, you can calculate what day of the week a date falls on. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. I got nothing to do all day. I'm waiting for my plane. I write down the algorithm on a little 3.5x5 index card. I go sit on the beach and I wire it into my brain. And I know I can crunch it. Now I need people to give me dates and I can do it and stuff. And it's hard to access what the dates were back then because there was no Google. There was no search engine. You had to get they used to have all the old calendars in the phone books. That's how, okay. So
that's a race I have a chance at. All right. Here's the stack of books are over there. You tell me the date.
So I got I got on the plane on 8/8/88 and I landed in Phoenix and I'm all excited to see my little sister. And I said, Cindy, pick a date and I'll tell you what day of the week it is. And she tells me her birthday, and I go, that was a Saturday. And she goes, who cares? I was like, well, that'll work. And so, but now it's turned into a thing. Like when I go to schools and perform for students or organizations, at the end of the show, the kids get a card from us for the counting bee, and they write down their name and their birthday. And I can just circle Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever, and autograph it for them real quick. And in 2 seconds, I'm done. And then the kids have to go home and say, hey, Mom, Dad, was I born on a Tuesday? And it instigates that conversation of why does the calendar change and all that stuff. So it's really turned into a part of who I am.
Yeah. The way I looked at it too, I had the same exact reaction when when you were doing it on stage. I was like, why does this matter? But then to what you just said, and like also, if I ask my parents, they're going to be like, they'll reminisce. That was the coldest day of the year. I remember it was a Tuesday. I can't forget it. Like it's an important level of detail on something like that. Yeah. So I take back my comments a couple of weeks ago.
No, you're doing the right things.
I was. And
also the fact that it was the dart gambit too is pretty sweet. Again, credits to Mike. Or was that your idea? Like, hey, if you're going dartboard style, it's going to be even better.
That was all Mike. Mike was a brilliant marketer. He knew what he was trying to sell, but he knew how to communicate it to where he created a sense of urgency that you had to have it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't such a showman. I was more of like, hey, just give me some numbers and I'm going to tell you the answer, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to sell books at the time. It really wasn't part of my thing. And Mike really lit that up in me. He really got me thinking how to communicate in a way that, gave information and informed people, but also left them wanting more to figure out who and why what you're doing and stuff. So yeah, brilliant dude. Thanks for just tonight. God bless Mike Lavey. I mean,
God bless.
I mean, we'll talk about whatever you guys want, but man, the guy, he jumped in right at the beginning and he took it to the top, and you can't forget him for that. And it changed the lives he changed, the company he created, the industry that he revolutionized. I mean, just, it's hard to calculate his impact. So thanks for just the memories.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
when you go back and like, look, cause we watch everything from YouTube and we've watched, I don't know, Dan, 4 of his so far, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
If you go through the YouTube comments, it's just people gushing about how much they loved that show.
Yeah.
And they're like, I loved when this used to come on, blah, blah, and there'll be RIP mics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is, people are nowadays, it's hard to even imagine, like kids can't comprehend this, but
Yeah.
when my commercial was airing in 1989, 1999, or 91, 92, no social media. There was only a half dozen channels, or there were a few channels
You gotta catch
now,
it live. Yeah.
but they shut off at midnight. I can still remember Discovery Channel just going dark at midnight with the tubes. And that's when somebody called and said, hey, can I buy that time and do something with it? And so I would be on TV like 300, 500, 600 times a week through all those networks for years. It was crazy. It was really remarkable to see how the penetration into the market that those shows got, and how much people didn't skip them, man. They definitely tuned in and watched them, even though, they can say they didn't like them, but they watched them.
I'm going to say the numbers those shows probably got in that area, the pre-social media, pre-streaming, pre-everything era, are probably comparable to your biggest sitcoms now on network television, right? It's like, TVs are just on, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, I'll give you an example. Back then, this is 1992. I mean, for 10 grand, you could buy 30 minutes on Discovery and do $20,000, $30,000 in sales.
Wow.
And you're like, hey, how many more half hours do you have?
Yeah, right.
You're just like, let's try that.
Do you want to bundle some of these?
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Did Amazing Discoveries, were they the ones, and I'm not trying to get into the whole business of it, but were they the ones that were like, we'll book them all, like they're making their cut on this, so they manage the spots? Or did you have any influence because it was your company and your product?
I just got a check every month and just played golf every day. That was my schedule. Mike Levy would call me and say, hey, you feel like doing a TV interview?
Wow.
What address do you want us to send a check to? And always on time, always a full accounting. We had a couple lawsuits at the end, but it was because of third parties and things like that. And just so you know, the infomercial world is laden with if you have an infomercial, you have a lawsuit. So
why, you think there's some false claims out there? Weird. Would never imagine. But
no comment. No, hey, I just do math.
Yeah. Listen, I know I'm a numbers guy, but it's a different thing. Yeah.
So, Scott, how comfortable were you going up in front of people prior to that? I mean, you must have been kind of curious to do it if you were selling the idea, or did Amazing Discoveries kind of be like, okay, I can do this on TV, I'm getting better at it? And did you like it?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. And honestly, I've dropped a lot of F-bombs on camera. When we're filming, I'm so intense. If I get something not right, even on my History Channel show, I'm sure the outtakes will be funny one day. But
please share.
When I go in human calculator mode and I'm tuned in and I'm trying to do things at supersonic speeds, get out of the way. You know what I mean? Not just saying that. There's just the force of energy going through me that there's got to be an outlet there. And so but the other thing that is through the years I've learned that training really helped me for all these situations. Like the only thing you learn when you're doing television is that nothing goes the way it's supposed to go. As you guys know this, there's guaranteed something's going to happen you never saw before. It's like going to a baseball game. You're always going to see something you never saw.
Yep. Wow. So your sales went through the roof after CNN. Your sales go through, probably, start going through the roof after many years or a couple of years of it airing on television, right? Where was like the next big jump? Because you did talk about going to schools and making sure that was a kind of a part of actually bringing this almost as a curriculum into a school as an option to do math. So how beneficial and good for business was that? But also that sounds like a really nice thing to do, like a nice heartwarming thing to teach kids there. So was that more of a balanced period, or did the sales go up, or was it less? Like talk to us a little bit about after.
Yeah, I wasn't motivated by sales when I did those schools. I donated over 90% of my time for all those schools. And
awesome.
when you got a few hundred kids in a room and you get them for 40 minutes, and in 10 minutes you got their attention because you just freaked them out by beating a calculator that their teachers were running, and they're listening to you. that's a high that's unmatchable, because you've got a moment there where they're listening to you and they're willing to learn. And I don't take that time for granted. I really appreciate the opportunity to influence the way people feel about numbers, because I know it's an immeasurable impact if you get kids to just think that, hey, maybe I'm okay with numbers, instead of, man, I'm just terrible with numbers.
Right.
It's an incredible attitude. The other thing that I learned through the years, guys, is that, I count is this mission of mine, and I count. I was always trying to get kids to think about numbers the way I do as the human calculator. I count like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then it hit me one day that I count could also be translated as a way to increase kids' self-esteem. Yeah. I count. I'm somebody. And to use numbers and arithmetic, which kids fear most, to increase their self-esteem, is where I thought the magic was. And so that's been my pursuit ever since.
Yeah, I love that. And it's one of the things, if I'm attributing the quote correctly, it was one of the, comparisons you drew was like the, I guess, appreciation or lack thereof for how people are at math. And people can just say, I'm just not good at math, or I'm bad at math. But if they said they were illiterate, you'd be like, well, why aren't we trying to help this person? Right. So I think it's like, coming at it from that lens, it's like, when you put it that, stack them next to each other, it's like, right, why is it so acceptable to just like let something that is fundamental and instrumental in how we can understand and appreciate the world around us? People are just like, yeah, I ain't no good at it. Like, move on. Like,
yeah, what else? Yeah. Well, here's what's crazy is you look back at Amazing Discoveries. I've discovered so many numerical sequences and patterns and operations and things like that since then. It's crazy to go back and look at those products and realize it was just, so in the beginning and all. But, in 1999, I had an epiphany about the number 9. And I'd love to share it with you guys, because it wasn't on Amazing Discoveries, but it happened in 1999, and specifically on 9/9/99.
Uh-oh.
So about 8888 with the calendar.
Looking out for February now.
Yeah, and now not 22. And so this 9 thing really freaked me out. But check it out. Everything goes back to the number 9. So if I asked you guys to write the number 11, you'd write 1, right? You have to write down 2 digits, though. Okay, it's not 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or any of the single digits up to 9. Even 10 is a 2-digit number. 11, and so just write down 11, and that number you've written that number. You've seen it a million times in your life, and that number is just 11. It don't mean anything to you. I'm being facetious, but there's a simple pattern in that number that will turn on the calculator in your brain. So add up all the numbers in that, or add up all the digits in that number. So 11 has a 1 and a 1. So 1 plus 1 adds up to 2, right? Easy enough. We just added digits together. Mm-hmm. Next step, subtract that total from the original number. So what's 11 take away 2? 9.
Even I got that one.
Every number in the universe has this pattern in it that makes it go back to 9. So write down the number 10. 1, 0. Add it up. 1 plus 0 is 1. 10 minus 1 is 9. So let's try it with 12. 1, 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 12 minus 3 is 9. So Dan, let's try one more. Let's try 19. Write down 19.
Yep.
1, 9. 1 plus 9 is 10.
10.
Now subtract that total from the original number. So 19 minus 10 is 9. Now I'm starting to freak out. I noticed this on 9/9/99 at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I try it with the number 20. 20. 2 plus 0 is 2. 20 take away 2 is 18. But think of that answer, 18. 1, 8 adds up to 9. So what about like 55? 5 and 5 is 10. 55 minus 10 is 45. And that answer, 4 or 5, adds up to 9. So I challenge all 3 of you to write down your age. Don't even say it out loud. Just write down your age. And now add those 2 digits together and write that total underneath your age. And then subtract. And your 2-digit answer will be a number that adds up to 9. I promise.
Weird.
As well.
Right?
Yep.
So, David, what are you thinking? What is that? What does that pattern speak? How does it speak to you?
What does it mean to me?
Yeah, what's your initial reaction to that? Since you just saw it for the first time and you've been on this earth for many years.
Oh, that 9 matters.
So 9 counts. So
9 counts.
So when you're watching a sporting event and now you see the number 77 running across the screen, you know there's a pattern that makes it go back to 9. So 7 and 7 is 14. 77 take away 14 is 63. 6 and 3 is 9. This is not only a simple exercise, but more importantly, this is a diagnostic that parents and teachers can use to see where their kids are at when it comes to basic arithmetic. So if you're in the car with your kids and you see the number 22, if your kid can't say to you, hey, mom, dad, 22, 2 and 2 is 4, 22 minus 4 is 18, and 1 plus 8 is 9, everything is fine. It's a simple mental exercise that will not only teach our kids all their basic math facts through logic and pattern instead of memorization, but more importantly, it's a diagnostic to get parents and teachers tuned in and to realize these kids have weaknesses sooner instead of later.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And like a clever dialogue to be having that's about math.
Right.
You know,
it's similar
it's
to
simple enough.
Right.
You know,
it's as simple as it gets without being any simpler. But look at each one of those 3 steps. 55. First step is 5 and 5. Your kid's got to be able to do that, whether they memorized it or how fingers, whatever they're doing.
Yep.
And now to plug it in and do 55 minus 10, that's logical. You got to be able to sequence that. And then you got to be able to subtract. And then you got to look at the answer and recognize that those 2 digits add up to 9. Each step individually is very elementary and required by our students in one form or another. But to sequentialize those 3 steps in that specific order revolutionized the relationship that children have with numbers, because now every number becomes a lesson.
Right.
Every number on the planet Earth is a lesson. It's a math fact just sitting there waiting for the kids to discover. And now if they forget what 5 plus 5 is, they can check it. Okay, I think it's 10. 55 minus 10 is 45. Does my answer add up to 9? Everything is fine. So let's make a mistake on purpose just to show you how powerful this is. Let's go back to the first example. We use the number 11. 1, 1. You all know it's 2. And you plugged it in. 11 minus 2 is 9. Well, kids don't know their math facts. So let's say a kid thinks 1 plus 1 is 3. Let's plug it in. What's 11? Take away 3. 8. It's not 9. So 1 and 1 can't be 3. The only number that works is 2, because 11 take away 2 is 9. This is a checker for the human brain, for all of us. So if you want to check 2 plus 2, you could use your fingers and count 1, 2, 3, 4. You could memorize it. You could punch it into a calculator, or you could choose to logically check it with this number sequence where you go, all right, 22 has a 2 and a 2. I think it's 4. 22 take away 4 is 18. 1 and 8 is 9. Everything is fine.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
And
thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
So you remember 8888, the day. You remember what you were doing.
I was homeless on a park bench in Florida.
In 9999? What was
I was playing golf with Alice Cooper at the Arizona Biltmore Golf Course on the links, and Alice had written a song called 18, and
whoa,
it was 9999, and I had invented a calendar to save us from Y2K because I thought we were all going to die in a couple months. And so it made me question, why are we using this calendar that's so hard to calculate? Because I know the algorithm to figure out the day of the week.
Yeah.
And it was I had invented a calendar. It was supposed to come out on 9/9/99. Arizona newspaper was going to do a big story about it. Found out that morning they weren't. And I was all bummed out. And Alice and I are on the golf course that morning. He goes, hey, Scott, don't worry. Everything happens for a reason. You know, he runs our Bible study on Wednesday mornings. Very grounded dude. And we got to the 18th green and he said, hey, 18. I wrote a song called 18. 1 and 8 is 9. Today's 9/9/99. How come 18 adds up to 9? And I said, Alice, that's actually pretty easy. Any number times 9. The answer adds up to 9. Like 3 times 9 is 27. 2 and 7 is 9. 4 times 9 is 36. 3 and 6 is 9. Any number times 9, the answer adds up to 9. He goes, okay, I don't care. And I'll never forget.
It's like, well, you don't have to. You're still Alice Cooper, no matter how we got here. So let's, But the rest of us over here, this is kind of cool. You seem hard to impress.
Right. And I got home from golf that morning, and I was looking at my calendar, and it's a 13-month calendar. And I looked at the number 13 and just happened to notice 1 and 3 is 4, 13 minus 4 is 9. What the heck's going on? And I thought I was having like my own little personal Y2K. I wasn't sure what was going on.
The red string comes out across the wire. All right, so.
It was freaky, and I called my math friends. I'm like, hey, what is this? I literally, here I am, the human calculator, Guinness Book of World Records, fastest human calculator. And I didn't know this pattern. I literally, when it first hit me, I thought that I had missed one day in 3rd grade when they showed this.
Right? Everyone knows this,
else on the planet knows that. Yeah, and I'm the guy that does it. And so I was a little hesitant. I'm like, hey, what's this 9 thing? And nobody had noticed it or really done anything with it. And so now that's my mission as the human calculator, is to reach every student on the planet Earth before they're 9 years old, to show them this pattern so that when they're 9, that whole year, every day, for a year, every number they see will go back, add down their age, the number 9. It'll make them feel like it's a natural language to them, teach them all their basic math facts, make them feel fluent in that, and then give them that sense of comfort and confidence with numbers. And I think that's going to help make it easier help our teachers teach these kids arithmetic and higher math.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because if you look at like a language arts class, and you break down, and I mean, this is a completely like ridiculous comparison, but it's not. You break down a sentence, subject, verb, predicate. You like teach kids to rearrange it, see what it looks like. That happens so much less in American math. I think that it's like that, just those kind of extra things.
It's show your work.
Yeah.
Show your work. Show me you did it the way I told you. And I'm always like, can we just accept that I got the right answer and move on? Granted, I wasn't, I was more lucky than anything for, as long as I did math, but.
Well, I got lucky that I wasn't listening in 3rd grade in math class, because our teacher adding up a column of numbers, and she did it right to left, and you had to carry, and I wasn't listening, and I did it backwards, left to right. And that's what sort of kicked this off, where I was like, 10, 20, 30, 45, got it, Plus I hit my head when I was a kid. So who knows how it all came together, but isn't this weird in retrospect, guys? Regis, my first national TV show interview ever back in '89, Regis at the end of the interview calls me the human calculator. And now in '99, 10 years later, I hit the 9 pattern, right? And that pattern is what is going to turn on the human calculator in all of us. That number pattern is like a new operating system for the human brain. So for Regis to call me the human calculator, and then 10 years later to discover a pattern that makes people feel like a human calculator, sort of made it feel like it came full circle. And the focus went off of me, and look at me and look what I can do. Watch me do my world record. I can count. I can crunch numbers. The show became all about how can I help the kids that are in front of me to make them feel more comfortable and confident with numbers. And that's when my life changed, for the better, for my enjoyment, because, it's great to have a gift, but to find a way to use it for good for others, it's really the blessing.
Yeah.
So you must have some, sorry, Mark, you must have some true wizards that are coming back to you, telling them that you awoke this in them, and that, that are doing crazy things with numbers. I'm sure people reach out to you, right?
Yeah, it's humbling, because I was the chairman of the Mental Sport Olympics in 2016. So I was the chairman of the event, and it was in Las Vegas. I chose Las Vegas. It was an amazing experience. The top 200 mental athletes from around the world were invited. 4 days, 15 world records up for grabs. We had 6 cameras shoot. A company called Zappos.com, Tony Shea, who redid downtown Las Vegas, an amazing human, sponsored our first one and produced it and everything. And I got to meet all these incredible people from around the world, and they had all heard of me or seen me or studied my books, or, it was very, very surreal. And it was very, very humbling. I'm glad I got the opportunity to do that. I'm still on a mission, though. I don't feel like I'm not slowing down at all, but it definitely made me stop in my tracks for a second and count my blessings and really have an attitude of gratitude for the opportunity that is in front of me.
Yeah.
That's great. I've been on a Zappos tour before, not to derail this thing. Man, that customer service that they do there is insane.
I was there. 2016 was there. Tony was just going crazy with good things all around. I mean, he was amazing. The energy and the amount of efficiency and all these different ways of thinking. Life is Beautiful festival, the customer service, to take downtown Las Vegas and redo it. I don't care if you got $10 billion. It still takes an incredible mind and passion like a guy like Tony Hsieh had. So, yeah. And to meet all those kids in that environment, and for the Zappos folks to see that they were because they love the customer service thing. And we had people from over 50 countries. So they were using that to reach out to all the folks. It was really a fun experience. And I met a 5-year-old girl there who was at the table waiting to register. And her father was with her. And I thought her father was registering. And it was her at 5 years old.
Wow.
And when she got up on the stage to compete, the screen with the calculator behind her was, she was tiny compared to the calculator. And she broke a world record her first try at 5 years old.
Wow.
And so to witness that, and then there's a little girl from India named Priyanshi Samani that I got to meet at the World Championships in Germany in 2008. And the most sentimental moment of mental calculation for me was that day, because Priyanshi was, she was 9, 10, 11, something like that. Her mom, dad, and her brother were with her. And I could tell she sat down and broke a world record on the computer, but then we had to go in the room where, it gets real serious and quiet. And everybody's got paper and pencil, answers and stuff like that. And I knew she was going to kill it. So I literally just put my pencil down and just watched, because I wasn't that category. I wasn't going for any world records. I had my own thing. I just wanted to see how it all went. And I'm so happy I did it, because I sat down and I just put the pencil down and I just watched Priyanshi Samani. And she had 30 minutes and you could tell she was just flying through everything way ahead of everybody else. And we leave the room waiting for the results. And I'm talking to her parents. And it turns out that her parents peeked into the room to see where she was sitting, and then went to the wall that was closest to her so that they could pray for her while she was competing.
Whoa.
And this little girl not only trained, but her family was, I wish every family had that much connection,
Yeah.
And that was just an amazing moment to capture. And I realized, hey, this isn't all about me as the human calculator. This is about how can I promote numeracy and mental math and these other amazing people that have gifts like I do.
Yeah. So before you kind of found this as something that you could really, I think, distribute in a positive way, were you burdened by this at points in your life? Like before you found this healthy outlet and a means to be able to communicate out to other people? Because I can imagine a situation where if you're always recognizing numerical patterns in things and you're seeing this in your own mind, if you weren't able to get it out and share it in a way that people wanted to hear and digest and be like, oh, he's right, this is amazing, and turn into a conversation, I could see it be overwhelming in certain circumstances. So curious if you ever had any of that before you were able to turn it into, more something that was shareable.
Yeah, it's hard to shut off sometimes, but I appreciate it now, because I'm not asking random questions or just doing random numbers. I'm figuring stuff out, but I use my powers for evil sometimes.
You're out to dinner and you pretend you don't know how to do a tip. Is that like that?
No,
You're like, I don't know. You want to cut this bill 6 ways? Oh.
No, like counting cards in Vegas for a few years, and
nice.
Gambling and stuff like that. I used to do it when I was a kid, and didn't mind sitting at a table for 15, 16 hours in a day and hoping you make $200 more in an hour than you lose. And it adds up over time, but you also realize you're not doing anything else and it's no life. And it didn't add up in the end. But yeah, it was fun for a while. But I've performed for over 2 million students in person in 32 years. Almost every country, and so I've had plenty of outlets. Plus, I play golf a lot, so I love exercise.
Are you a 9
hiking.
handicap?
I am now. I used to be a 0.
See?
Now I'm a 9.
Oh. So it used to be Alice Cooper because Alice was like a 4 or something, right?
4.6 right now. He's playing great. He's been with Callaway for like 30 years. He's been there longer than anybody else in the company at this point. So he's been he's 74 years old next month, and he still hits the ball 280 down the middle and shoots in the 70s and has as much fun as anybody.
Sign up for that.
Wow.
Yep.
And he beats you now.
No, we're close. I'm in upstate New York where there's snow, and he's in the desert where it's nice and sunny. So right now he would be.
Every day. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got some performance enhancing, locations. Not your fault.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
But yeah. So you mentioned that you're back home in upstate New York in Herkimer. And for those who can see you on the interview, rocking the Herkimer originals, the OGs cap, in the number 9 being a thing that follows you. So I know your foundation, Herkimer 9. Some of the mission we were talking about what Tony Hsieh did in Las Vegas feels like a little bit of that might have rubbed off on you for what you're bringing to your hometown. So can you bring us up to speed a little bit on what your most recent passion project and projects have been back home in Herkimer for you?
This is crazy, guys. Thanks for even asking. When COVID hit and school shut down, I couldn't be performing. I, took the year off and moved back home. My family was dealing with some health challenges, so I wanted to help out and be here. And my dad was at a facility being taken care of, and when he took meds, he would pass out, and so I would take a long walk. And I went to the Historical Society one day, and I walked in and I said, "Hey, my dad was born here. I was born here. Tell me something about Herkimer that would blow me away." And this is 87-year-old volunteer guy who used to be the chairman of the this and that. And he's just a brilliant dude, Ted. And he goes, well, Herkimer invented basketball. And I go, no, I would have heard that when I was growing up. I think it'd be on ESPN, stuff like that. And he goes, nope. And he hands me a book called I Grew Up with Basketball. And there's this book that claims that Herkimer started basketball in the YMCA on Main Street. So I read the book and I'm like, if this is true, everybody on the planet needs to know this. This is incredible, right? And I know a lot of people in basketball. Living in Phoenix for 30 years, I've met a lot of the people in basketball. And so I thought, I could straighten this out in a weekend. And not the case. But I started a foundation called the Herkimer 9 Foundation because I wanted to celebrate this kid who was celebrated in the Springfield Basketball Hall of Fame for inventing the rim and the net. They had the first game with a rim and a net. And so we hired an expert to prove the book is wrong. We wanted to make sure before we went out on a limb, this isn't a scam from 100 years ago. The guys are just having fun.
Right.
Could not prove it to be false. And so we dug deeper and we decided to revitalize Main Street using this story and to bring back the YMCA so kids could come here and shoot baskets where the first rim and the first net were. More of a sentimental thing. And now it's turned into a $50 million project. We have, we're building an event center named after the guy, Lambert Will, who had the first rim and the first net, revitalizing a 150-year-old factory named Quackenbush. The guy invented the step ladder, the nutcracker, the air pistols, rifles, everything. He made them all right there in the factory, and now we're turning that into a STEAM learning center for kids.
What years was he president? What?
Henry M. Quackenbush.
That's wild.
1891. Wow. This guy had 50 patents. He was brilliant. And his wife and him raised the money to start the YMCA on Main Street in Herkimer. And this kid named Lambert Will was working for him. And he was running the Y, Quackenbush was. And the kid came up with basketball, brought it to the gym, tried it with a couple of baseball teams. So the first team was called the Herkimer YMCA 9. And the second group was the Herkimer Businessmen 9. And I almost fell out of my chair. Like, how did the number 9 get into basketball?
You're looking around.
It turns out it was two baseball teams that tried to play basketball.
Wow. That's wild.
And so they morphed into a team called the Herkimer 9. And so that I was born in Herkimer, had an epiphany about the number 9 on 9/9/99. And the first basketball team 131 years ago was called the Herkimer 9. And the first team, called the Globetrotters, was out of Herkimer, New York, the Baslow Globetrotters, promoting basketball across the Northeast.
Wow.
And so now I'm all in on this. And when we got going, somebody told me that the ABA was still going, the American Basketball Association, with the red and blue ball, Dr. J. And I didn't even know. And so I called them and I said, hey, can I get a franchise in Herkimer, New York, and help promote this story of basketball? And I was playing golf with Alice, and I got the call that day, and I got the franchise, and Alice is over a 5-iron, and he goes, didn't even flinch. He goes, you got to call them the originals. He goes, because you had the first rim, the first net, maybe the first game. And he hits a 5-iron, tight probably, walks over to the scorecard, writes down the word originals right here, right there, originals. And he makes the O look like a rim and a net. And he goes, there's your name and there's your logo. Let's go. 10 seconds. He had it done.
Yeah.
And so now we're in the ABA in the Northeast. We're 8-3. The only team that beat us twice is the defending champions. And one other loss to the top team now. Other than that, we're 8 good wins. And hopefully we'll make the playoffs. But this story is being told through this team. And it's really brought the village together. We have, hundreds and hundreds of people coming to a gym that hadn't been, nobody's going there except for a college game once in a while. So it's really changed our village and now helped us get some momentum to make an impact on Main Street and to tell this story. So it's consumed my being the last year and a half. And now to see the implications, if it's true that basketball, just the first rim and the first net, we're good to go.
Yeah.
But if we had the first game, if the kid invented it and just didn't get credit, so we're just going to see what we can get. But Springfield's been very cool. We've already met with them a few times. They're open to history and they're open to truth. They're not trying to hide or defend anything. So it's been quite a fascinating year and a half.
That's wild. And
That's cool.
I think for additional, I love the logo. And I think if you need additional firepower when you're talking to Springfield, so the three of us are from Massachusetts. We grew up in Berkshire County on the western part of the state. And I guess the only city in the county it's Pittsfield, Mass. And
I go there.
So Pittsfield also claims to be the birthplace of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cooperstown is not the home, as you know. So how does Pittsfield get it?
So basically, here's what I'm thinking: if we can just have a trade, we can trade Herkimer for Springfield and Cooperstown for Pittsfield. And call it. I think that's.
I'm sorry. No, because Cooperstown is only 28 miles from Herkimer. Literally, on Route 28, it's 28 miles from Herkimer to Cooperstown.
Pittsfield to Springfield is 55, but Cooperstown to Pittsfield, when you're moving the baseball stuff, is going 110 miles. When you're moving it from Springfield to Herkimer, it's 164. So, I mean, it sounds like you got plenty of U-Haul money. Alice will hook this up. Like we can do in a couple weekends, Scott. That's what I'm saying.
I love it. Well, we'll work it out. I didn't realize the implications. I was just having fun with this. I didn't think it would turn into something this big. But it is what it is. I'm just having fun with it, and we'll see how far it goes. But the basketball team and the STEAM Learning Center for kids. I mean, in my hometown?
That's awesome.
I'm good for life.
Yeah. Can't do much better than that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
I did some stomping around that area a little bit. Did a couple years in Oneonta. I say it like it was a prison sentence. I mean, we were there for work. But yeah, I've made the drive to Utica, so I think I've probably driven through Herkimer, at least Herkimer County. I've made Riggies. Okay, I know what I'm doing here. All right, that's the important thing.
That's right. And the one difference is that Herkimer has a diamond mine. If you look up Herkimer diamonds,
I've been there.
World renowned.
Wow.
Yeah. What, David? You've been there? Wait, what?
I don't know why, but when I was a kid, my mom discovered it. And she just took us there on a trip. So yeah, we went to the mines, and I actually, it's in the attic, but I still have one of the Herkimer diamond mines.
They're powerful crystals, and the Herkimer diamond mine also has the #1 KOA in New York State, and it's right along the West Canada Creek, right next to the diamond mine. I mean, and for us to have a summer basketball program here for the Herkimer OGs, I feel like kids from around the world that want to come here and just hang out for the summer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to basketball real quick. What do you do? Like you say you're very involved with the team. Like is there coaching? Like what's your day to day with the OGs?
Well, I'm the owner of the team, so you do whatever is being done. The coach is coaching. Our general manager is handling most of the logistics and 30,000 foot stuff.
Yeah.
Players are players. We got our staff, support staff, social media staff. So just making sure all those things are, and then game days, there's 100 moving parts. Scheduling road trips is a job. So I do whatever falls through the cracks because it's our first year and it's helping me to understand how to set it up to run it better next year. But our goal is to hopefully have the ABA headquarters moved here to Herkimer if we can prove that all this stuff happened here. And we're going to have the biggest basketball in the world right on Main Street in Herkimer. And we're going to have signing ceremonies where basketball stars from around the world will come and play in this exhibition at this event center, exhibition games, and we'll have the teams autograph the biggest basketball in the world while they're here.
Wow.
Whoa. Nice. Another Guinness World Record.
That's right.
Scott's got their number. He knows.
It's all fallen together, and then I lived in Phoenix and got to meet all these basketball people and it's just crazy how it came around this way. But if we'd have done this interview 2 years ago, I'd have told you I'm the human calculator and I'm going to be the human calculator and that's all I'm going to do the rest of my life. And I wouldn't even have brought up basketball or even Herkimer probably. And now I'm here, I'm living it, and I'd appreciate everybody's support. Support the originals just if you like basketball and if you like, downtown revitalization programs. The Herkimer 9 is going to take Main Street, which has gone south for a while, and try to get it trending in the right direction. And I really think that STEAM Learning Center is going to be the driving force behind that. It's going to be a magnet to attract better things here to this village.
Wow. That's awesome.
Amazing. Wow.
That's awesome.
So dude, the hats. We gotta support buy some of these hats, Dan.
Yeah, those are sick.
Listen, for you guys letting me talk about it, I'm sending each one of you a hat. Just send me an address so I can send it. And I appreciate it because I was on a podcast in September. Do you guys know Mike Rowe from Dirty Job?
Yeah.
So Mike and I have been really close for about 30 years, and he had me on his podcast a couple months ago, and he wore the OG's hat. And Alice Cooper came through here in September and performed, and during the finale for School's Out, wore his OG's jersey.
That's awesome.
On stage. That was here.
Yeah, we don't quite have their reach, but
I was going to say
we will definitely rep it.
No, people consider us the Mike Rowe and/or Alice Cooper of infomercial themed podcasts for sure.
No doubt.
But no, so I think so. We covered the main things that I had, but I did a couple things around the edges that I wanted to either fact check with you or mention that we kind of brought up when we looked at the Amazing Discoveries episode. So obviously you're a golfer. You like hoops, but when we're looking at 1991 Scott Flansburg, we saw a lot of right guard in there and the man on the stool. Any football in your background or any other top sports?
A lot of it was the hair, by the way. But
it might have been being Golic adjacent is another part of it. But yeah,
it was the mullet. I was all league defensive end in high school football. I was a speed walker in track. I did the mile in 6:20.
Wow.
Baseball was a starting pitcher and a right fielder because number 9 spot. Yeah. And let's see what else. I played basketball and actually won the badminton doubles with a guy named Gary Bynan for the region. Badminton doubles, which I love badminton. I don't know why it's not cool. Yeah. It should be cooler.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah, you did every sport.
Yeah.
You liked them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love sport. I'm every day. I'm always doing something. I love it. Golf, hand-eye, basketball, I mean, everything. And now I got living back here, I got a little grandnephew, almost 3 years old. And to watch his hand and eyes coordinate and to help with his mental math is inspiring me to come up with better products
Awesome.
for math and for younger kids, but also just reminds me of how important the role that sports plays in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, the competitiveness definitely comes through, right? That drive, that itch that has to keep being scratched. That's comes through in the passion that you have for everything that you've done and continue to do. Yeah, I mean, guys, is there anything else that you want to make sure we ask Scott?
One more thing. This is off the cuff. You talked before about you get in the zone, like, and you're like, oh, I'd be up there in the zone on Amazing Discoveries, and you get something wrong, and you're just like so pissed, right? You're like, you said you're throwing F-bombs. Was there any sport? Was there anything that you did other than that you went into the zone? Like you were in the Air Force, like there are some zones to be had and all that you've done.
Yeah. And when I made mistakes, it wasn't calculating. I'm 99.99% on calculating. It was scripted. There was some scripted stuff, and memorizing script is not my gift. Yeah. So to bust out a minute and a half narrative and get one word wrong, and it's like take 42. You're like, all right, so, and it's not you're not your natural self when you're trying to implement that in there.
And your heel toe, you're walking. What is it called? Is it
speed walking?
Speed walking.
Yeah.
Your heel toe. I mean, you got to be 99.99% there too, right?
And 1 foot on the ground at a time, man. Not a second foot. They're very tight on the rules too. That was fun, and it became an Olympic sport. But when I was doing it, it was pretty weird.
Well, I mean, hey, just because it's an Olympic sport now doesn't mean that it's not still weird. That's
It is. But I will say this: through the 32 years I've been traveling the planet, I walk every city I go to, and I see everything. And I can fly around town, and I love walking and seeing it. So there's no better way to see a place. So, hey, that worked for me. And golf is everywhere too. So that's been good. And I do have one other thing, guys, just to have fun, if you don't mind. I have my calendar. Can we just get into that for 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. So it's a 13-month calendar. It has 28 days in every month. If people go to my website, they can download it for free. All right. It's just an experiment, science experiment. But there's a better way to keep track of time. Every month has 28 days. That means it's 4 weeks. That would make the first always a Monday. Second would always be a Tuesday. The fifth is a Friday. So now if I say, hey guys, let's do your podcast on the 5th, instantly we all know it's the first Friday of the month. That power is what I've had since 8/8/88 to calculate any date. And now I've invented a calendar where everybody would know what every date is on every month. And so the next time my calendar lines up with the Gregorian calendar, the most efficient way is next year, 2023. So you can go on my site, download 2023, the Human Calculator calendar. And all I'm asking people to do is start scheduling your next year. Like put on when your bills are due and your different patterns in life. And when you lay it out on a 13/28 versus our 12-month 30/31/28/29 monster, all these patterns start exploding off the page they've always been there, but they were undetectable because of the Roman calendar. And so it's just a fun project. I'm not taking this seriously, but in 1999, I thought we were all going to die. So I was pretty serious, but now I think we're going to have to wait. I don't want to wait till Y3K. Let's get this in before the 1,000 years. All right. So thanks for letting me share. And I love your feedback, but our bodies and our brains are a 13/28 time machine. You got 13 major joints. We have a 28-day biorhythm. It's like trying to run Mac on a Windows. It doesn't conform to our brain or our body. And so this one will. So there's 41 calendars on the planet Earth you could choose to use. So all I'm asking people to do next year is try to use this one as a secondary calendar and see how it feels to know what day of the week every date is on.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Imagine. I don't think we can just totally get into why people stress out in certain months, why, like all of that. And it could be, constellations, it could be many different things pulling energy, but like, imagine you just fixed the calendar and had a more realistic.
It's like a chiropractor for your date book. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm finally aligned. God, that feels good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And here's the difference is when you're using that whacked out one, you can't detect any patterns.
Yeah.
When you use a uniform grid order matrix, you can see patterns instantly. And so for a financial tool, for analysis, those types of things, scheduling, it would just make our society so much more efficient. And not to promote my calendar, but why the heck are we still using a calendar that's 2,000 years old that was invented by people that thought the earth was flat and that the earth was the center of the universe, and that October means eight, like octopus, but October is the 10th month.
Yeah.
Why are the names not adding up? September, Sep means 7, but September is the 9th month.
Yeah.
No, it's not. 11, Dec is 10, but it's 12. So the calendar makes literally no sense to our brain or our body. So I always thought the calendar was just a funny hobby thing I was doing, but now I'm starting to take it serious. Like, hey, why not a better calendar? And why not before Y3K? So I'm following through on all this stuff. And last thing, guys, thanks for letting me dump all this on you, is the other event that I got going is the Counting Bee. I started a new event, the National Counting Bee. So we're going to have one right now. Each one of you guys get 15 seconds. You can choose not to do it if you like, but here's the contest. This is how a Counting Bee works. I'm pulling up a stopwatch here so I can time you. You get 15 seconds. Okay. And here in the 15 seconds, you have to count by 3 and get as many answers as you can. Okay. And so, but the only difference is nobody starts at 0. Everybody gets a random starting number. So we do this at schools, and we're trying to get it going around the world. So first round. Okay, you ready? Dan, we're starting at you.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a random starting number, and you count by 3 as fast as you can for 15 seconds.
Okay.
Here we go. Start at 7. Count by 3. Go.
10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 28, 31, 34, 37, 40, 43, 46, 49, 52, 55, 58, 61, 64, 67, 70, 73, 76.
Time. 70. You got up to 70. So you started at 7 and you got to 70. That's 63 difference. So divided by 3, because you counted by 3, is 21 answers. So in 15 seconds, you just got 21 answers, which is very good. Okay, you ready, David?
Yeah, I'm going to be slow.
No pressure.
Don't worry. Hey, people tuning in right now, they will relate to you. Don't worry.
No, there's no math. This is hey, if this is nothing else, this is a safe zone for math, right? Like, like we proved.
No, I'm open.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
start at 5, count by 3, go.
Okay, so we got 8, 11, 14, shit, 17, 20, 23, 26, 29, 32.
Time.
Fuck.
So next, you ready, Mark? Here we go. Starting at 11, count by 3, go.
14, 18,
Close.
17, 20, 23, 26, 29,
There you go.
32.
Time. Okay, so now you guys see what it is. But here's the difference. If you ask kids to count by 3, they're like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. They memorized it.
Right.
But if you ask the kid to start at 7 and count by 3, or a teacher, or an adult, or an executive, it's a different world.
Right.
And so the Counting Bee works in every country in the world because you can do it in any language. And so the first round is you count by 3 for 15 seconds. Next round, you count by 4. You count by 5. We just add up your scores, and it's very easy to see who the fastest human calculator is.
That's cool.
In each classroom, each school district, each county, each state, and each country. And so that's my next initiative is we're going to host the Counting Bee at the Diamond Mine in Herkimer.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Awesome. Do you start it under 100, or do you start in sometimes the thousands? Like what?
As long as it's fair for all of the kids, it
Okay.
depends how many kids are involved, but we usually start anywhere between 5 and 25 is usually enough to capture enough of a range where kids, they're not even going to try to memorize it. They have to just be able to add.
Right.
It's the difference. You
That's
can't
a cool
memorize all these patterns.
competition. Yeah.
Thank you. And I really think it's going to catch on and be an annual STEM event that will promote numeracy. And the mission of the Counting Bee is to not only celebrate the fastest mathletes, but more importantly, is to empower the kids that don't think they could be in the counting bee with the 9 pattern and this coloring book. So the 9 thing I shared with you guys, I freaked out one night and I just started writing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, over and over again on this piece of paper. And I realized there's a pattern. And so I started doing it the other way, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, down over and over again, 10 times.
Yeah.
And this number grid appeared in front of me that goes from 00 to 99 instead of 1 through 100. And I've discovered hundreds of patterns in it that teach kids all their math facts by just using 10 crayons with 10 different colors for the 10 digits, 0 through 9. And so now that's the newest product that I've released on my website that I'm so proud of because it's international. It's not just for America. Kids everywhere in the world go through this coloring book and totally change the way they feel about numbers. So I keep getting lower. You know, it's funny, when I was doing the show, everybody's like, oh, you did arithmetic. Now you got to do algebra and then trigonometry and all this stuff. I was going, no, wait, I got to go backwards. We're doing something wrong earlier that's messing everybody up.
Yeah.
I'm going backwards and I'm still working towards that. And so just continually evolving. But thanks for letting me share all this stuff, guys. I'm sure we went over time, but
you think we got somewhere to be, Scott? Come on.
Yeah.
No, that was great.
What's the next infomercial you guys are going to go off on?
Man, I don't know.
Dan has the master list.
Yeah,
I want to give you an example. I got to give you one. Is I was invited to present an award at the annual infomercial awards 1 year in Las Vegas.
Nice.
And I ended up having to present with another person, another infomercial star. It was Tony Little.
Oh yeah.
Tony's great, but just to show you how cool he is, he showed up in a tux. It was a tuxedo night. Mm-hmm. He showed up in a tuxedo with shorts on. Tuxedo shorts. That's how Tony
man's
is.
on brand.
He's great, man. He's a good guy. Get him on if you can.
Yeah,
that's too funny.
Trying. It's those calves. I mean,
yeah.
How'd you? You can't show up and not.
I was gonna say I wouldn't
off.
own long pants either. My calves look like that. You know.
Yeah. He's a good dude. But there's a lot of fascinating people in the infomercial world. That was a fun experience. And now
awesome.
I'm in the basketball world, and you never know. You know, I mean, I guess closing this thing up, I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing the infomercial. I literally, you know, you just got to go with what's in front of you and do the best you can, show up, try to learn from it. And to where I am now with the whole 9 Epiphany and the calendar and the basketball team and the Herkimer stuff, I'm overwhelmed sometimes, but other times I'm like, well, everything makes sense. And each one individually is simple. So I just got to keep moving. So, yeah, I miss golfing up here in upstate New York, but I wanted to see this inaugural season of the originals. I really think it's a special thing. So I appreciate you guys loving the basketball. I've definitely hooked you up with some merch.
Oh, love it. That's awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much, Scott. And I think, you know, in perfect form, I mean, you know, in numerology isn't 9 for completion, right?
Yeah.
So there we go. What better way to end it than with there? And
and don't get me started, but 9 holes. Golf, 18 holes, 1 and 8 is 9, par is 36, 3 and 6 is 9, par is 72, 7 and 2 is 9.
Nice.
A golf ball is 1.62 ounces in weight, 162 adds up to 9. A golf
this is going to start affecting me now.
414 adds up to 9. So yeah, I could go on and on.
Scott, I used to do this thing where I would read everything forward and then backwards, like posters in my room. This is going to be my new that when I'm replacing in my brain. So like I would read Dante Culpepper would be et nod repepluk, you know?
Yeah.
It's a weird, my brain's different, but yeah. Now I'm going to, hopefully I'll be productive now. I should have listened to Scott before.
Man, I'm still stressed out about the calendar thing.
Me too.
Yeah. Crazy. That's a great gift, by the way, the backward name thing. I don't know. That's, I'm trying to figure out how to capitalize on that, but I can't.
Let me know. I'm your guy.
Yeah, this is great. And thanks for the calendar comment because, you know, I mean, who says you invented a calendar? I mean, what the
Mayans?
Yeah, the Mayans. Well, mine is the Mayan calendar, just a 0 day. They called it the day out of time. I just put a number to it. So, yeah, that's all it is.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, and I've got other projects, but you know, these are the ones that consume my being right now. So I really appreciate you guys giving me this much time to air it all out.
Oh, yeah. We love having you. We appreciate it, Scott. This is awesome. Hopefully we'll.
I need to know though, guys. Are you surprised? I mean, what did you expect after all these years? What were you thinking tonight? What kind of human did you think I was?
Kind of my fingers crossed for a mullet wig, maybe. But you know, I guess you know we can.
When did the beard start? You know,
when I realized you don't have to
beard.
shave anymore,
Yeah.
you know, listen, visiting millions of kids for those years, I shaved every day. I thought it was mandatory. And then I realized one day, all these teachers have beards. What's the big deal? I mean,
Like, I don't play for the Yankees. I can shave. What am I doing? Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And if you play for the OGs, you can have a beard too.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's good.
I like it.
And if there's any great basketball players up in the central New York area, the originals are here to stay. So would really love to turn them into the Globetrotters of the new age.
I know. I was clicking through the roster last night, seeing if I picked anyone from like Hartwick College or SUNY. But Oneonta has their own team, right? Don't they have one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm guessing they're
And,
keeping it local. But yeah.
Yeah, we've got some amazing talent, guys. I mean, check out our roster. It's really impressive. That they're all born and raised 15 minutes from here is really freaky.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I wonder if you're still able to see coincidence with kind of like the way your things have lined up for you based on
They're within
dates,
9
time.
miles.
Yeah.
I did. No, you're gonna love that. See, you brought it up. Basketball was invented. The original rules of basketball were 13. There were 13 rules. I invented a 13-month calendar. The Utica Auditorium is 13 miles away from exit to exit, Herkimer exit. And the Utica Comets, the semi-pro hockey team, #1 in America, started off this season with 13 wins, 13-0-0, an AHL record that, you know, they've been around for 85 years. So, I can, but, you know, I could probably connect any numbers with any numbers at this point. So, but the ones that mean the most to me and here in Herkimer with my life, the number 13, the number 9, the number 0, 28, all those things. Who'd have thunk they'd take you down that road? You know, most people listen to their heart or they listen to their mind. I listen to numbers. And so, you know, here I am.
No, it sounds like you're hearing them. Yeah, it's awesome.
What?
Yeah, when you said 13, I'm like, last time I was in Utica, I ate 13 pierogies at Pulaski's and I was sick in the car. No, that's a different thing. That again,
13 Utica
issues.
Clubs.
Yeah.
There you go. The brewery.
Had 13 beers on Varick Street and couldn't find my way home. It was bad.
Hey,
Yeah.
we play at Notre Dame in Utica sometimes. We're right there. All the
Yeah.
guys live there. So that's cool. Next time, come on. We still have some home games this year.
Man.
And hey, we're playing
Field
in.
trip.
Wait, we don't have to. This
play in
weekend,
Worcester, right?
we're playing in Massachusetts. We're in Worcester.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
How do you say Worcester? How do you say it properly?
Worcester.
You got it.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
I said it? Okay,
We're
all
from
Or
right.
the
other
woo.
side.
They call it the woo.
We're from the other side of the state, so we
Okay.
got all of our TV from Albany as kids, so we didn't learn any good accents till we left the nest. You know.
Where are you
Well,
playing in Worcester? Where you?
The Worcester Majors that we've already played them here in Herkimer. They were
Okay.
tough.
ECU Center.
And now, a little weird fact is the ABA just got a new franchise in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh.
And
There we
so
go.
we're hoping to play them next year. It should be
Nice.
fun.
Nice.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to go.
We got to go to that one.
I was gonna say, yeah,
I'll,
I could be.
I'll
talking to a
support
field trip.
OGs there. I'll support
Thank
OGs.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And listen, if you got any kids in your life that need help, I my books and videos are brand new. There's this new technology with these new light boards where you can stand behind it and the image is in front of you and you're writing normal,
Oh,
but it
wow.
looks normal for the audience and you. And so I redid all my programs that way, and it's just really cool. I'm glad I got to do it one more time. You know, I don't think I'll have to do it again. So
Wow.
Nice.
appreciate you guys sharing that. And humancalculator.com is still going strong, but the Herkimer 9, Herkimer Originals, just sitting here talking to you guys, and now I'm exhausted thinking about all the stuff I'm doing. I was
I thought I was taking it easy. Oh no.
Yeah, right.
What the heck?
Oh no. Awesome. And Scott, I have one favor to ask you. So one of my college buddies is a math teacher at Sudbury Middle School, or I'm sorry, in Sudbury at Curtis Middle School, and he showed his class parts of the infomercial. And one of his students, Alex, is now a huge Human Calculator fan. So that's one request. If you could give Alex a shout for being such a fan and picking up his math grades in these past couple of months since Mr. Stevenson put him on the right path with the Human Calculator himself.
Wow, Alex, Mr. Stevens, just thank you for even taking the time to share. I will promise to come visit your school and do a show for free. Let me know how we make that happen.
Awesome.
Perfect.
That's amazing. Thank you, Scott. This has been great.
I am.
Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks
all the
again.
time. This is a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Great job, man. Now I have to tune in and watch the rest of these infomercial guys that I know and girls. So let me know who else I can hook you up with in the infomercial world. There's some good characters.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we're
we'll follow
always
up
happy.
for sure.
Yeah, always happy
Yeah.
Hey,
to check in.
great show, gentlemen. Great show. I don't know what your girls are saying, your spouses or significant others are saying to you while you're doing this, but just keep having fun with what you're doing. I promise it'll pay off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah, they're
man.
always sleeping at this point, but yeah.
Yeah, that's where we record at night. Like, all right, I'm gonna.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you guys knew about the 9 thing because we started at 9,
Oh,
so I was like,
man.
yeah.
Whoa.
Man, well, yeah, and big Turk Wendell fan, baseball
Wait,
player.
yeah. What about Turk?
Number 99. He went to our high school, Lacona Regional.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, of
I
course.
wore 99 in high school baseball for Turk. You said
That's
77 in football. That was Dave's football number.
Yeah, that's me.
See?
That's great. Yeah, it's at 99. That's a crazy number. That's the last word in the Bible too. If you don't read the Bible, you just look at the numbers. The last number is 99.
really?
Just like a file at the computer file when we had Y2K, it was end of file 99. What are the odds that the Bible ends with 99? Amen in Greek equals 99.
Wow. Bizarre.
So that's the way we should end the show, right? 99.
99.
Nine's out.
Hey, cheers, gentlemen. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you, Scott.
See you,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Cheers.
Well, did you guys learn anything in that conversation with Scott Flansburg?
Yeah, you're a fast counter.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going for that, but you're goddamn right I am. Listen, like I said, the computation is where my math skills stopped. So I'm lucky that this is what Scott focuses on. But the line of the nines, I do think that's legitimately going to affect my brain going forward of recognizing numbers in the rule of 9. And I love that he had the catchphrase, once you get to 9, everything's fine. And I was like, man, that would be very comforting as a kid to have a way to check your math before turning in your test when you're adding things up. Like, that's awesome. I'm totally going to buy that coloring book for my kids. They're too young now, but I mean, coloring books don't go bad.
No.
That's the one that's going to stick with you the most, Dan?
I think so. I mean, at this moment, it's what I'm most glued to. Like, as I mentioned, my weird brain thing of reading things forward and backwards, like, kind of like an illness. I do that with road signs too. But it was mostly posters in my room as a kid. Like I said, Dante Culpepper. Donovan McNabb, Navinod Bankin. That's big.
Weird.
But
I never did it to remember things. Or remember how to say things. I did that. I would read a sentence forward and backwards, forward and backwards, forward and backwards. And you, after doing it 3 times, you would get more out of the sentence that way. You remember all the words a little bit, but never
you'd read the words in reverse order.
No. I'd read the words in reverse. No,
you'd go left to right. You would typewriter it 3 times. Yeah, exactly. I would read it. But letters. I would just grab the letters and go back and forth.
I never did letters. That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, and I could also do the thing where if you grab 2 pens, you can write your signature in both directions on a whiteboard. You do that too.
Can you dribble 2 basketballs like Curry?
Nope, can't do that. But I write lefty and throw and shoot and play sports righty. I think that my wiring's all fucked up, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm glad Scott wasn't mean to me, though. I'm sorry we're just talking about my mental inadequacies right now. Let's get back to that amazing conversation. He's just like, everything is like, not coincidental, because for him, it's like, he's like, no, I know the formula. It's like, for him, it's not coincidental. Like, it all adds up. Like, that's what we should call the name of his book. Scott Flansburg.
It all adds up.
It all adds up. So,
yeah,
Scott,
well, it's like
this part. Yeah.
It's kind of like looking at an athlete, who has, what do you do when you're not an athlete anymore? Do you keep trying to be the best athlete, or do you help other people, pursue things that they don't have the opportunity to do? Like, it felt very much like he was kind of an athlete, but, and I think he treats it that way a lot too.
And he does both, because you could tell he's very competitive at golf. He loves badminton. Like, he loves all of these things that you can do as an older age. And he's like split that in half and dedicated both, his entire life to continuing both paths, which is, I mean, it's great. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool
instead
too.
of trying to be the best at it, which is what he was
right.
saying. Yeah.
Well, he's still kind of like, it's almost like he is not done with it. It's almost like my credentials are what they are. I no longer need to try and validate myself in competition for this, right? It's like we can all just accept that I'm the human calculator, correct? Okay. Moving on. Now, how do we get everybody else to even start to think correctly about this? Which is interesting because that's also where he started, right? Like it started out like road shows, going school to school, because that was something that he's like, oh man, I see things this way. I can translate it out so people can start to appreciate this and improve themselves. And, you know, his messages of like, you know, positivity, self-confidence, that stuff. He's right, man. It goes a long way for like valuing what you think you're capable of, right? And like you think about the good teachers you ever had. Think about how they treated your biggest mistakes or biggest flops or things you messed up the most. That's why they're your favorite teachers for the most part. Because it was always a teaching moment. It wasn't I don't got time for you. You don't get it. You're wrong. Like you would never hear him say that to anybody. You can never like, you know what I mean? There isn't an ounce of that in anything that I get from Scott.
Yeah. And I was trying to, I don't know why my mind was going into the business part of what the human calculator.
Well, you're a businessman. Sure.
Yeah.
You're a capitalist.
Yeah. You're a banker.
But I don't storm the Capitol.
Well,
shout out Dylan. Let's be clear. Yeah. No, but you could tell he kept his vision and he stayed away from the business. I think he kind of brushed off some of that stuff. And I think he was able to keep that clear vision in all that he's done. And I'm sure he says he owns the team now, which I did read. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, but
yeah,
dude, he's like into the nuances of how the team operates too. And that's not a business thing. So he actually, carries his vision. And I think allows other people to kind of worry about everything else, which it makes you not have to deal with a lot more bullshit that way.
Well, it's smart if you're able to trust people, right? I think that's where a lot of people in similar spots feel they get like the hero complex. They're like, well, I know the thing that's driving this, so I must have to do everything that goes with it. Where he seems very at peace and comfortable with like, I don't want to do that side of things. Like, and he was talking about when he was on CNN the first time and his business partner was like, business partner / like business manager, I guess the way he described him. He's like, no, he's like, he did all that. He's like, I'm talent. Okay. He didn't say that. Yeah. And that wasn't what it sounded like, but it was almost like, he's like, no, I focus on what I know. I'm not going to pretend to do that. He's like, I know all the other things. Why do I also have to know that? Like, it's just like that security and like, no, I'm good. You do that part. I'll do my job. Keep going forward. It
just sounded like he got really excited about the fact that he was noticing strategies in other people, particularly like kids that were learning, whereas he's trying to be the human calculator. And then he's going on these tours and teaching people. And he's like, oh, wow, this is really working on you. Well, I'm trying to be this, cult of personality, but I'm not really like that all the time,
Right. Yeah.
What was also cool is that we might be going a bit long, but whatever, is like to tie the infomercial thread back into everything is how sort of like appreciative he was of Mike and like Amazing Discoveries and like giving him the shout out. And also just like all of the infomercial people that we've interviewed have this very strange story and curiosity to the infomercial and how it's made. You know what I mean? Like that was the thing that I was kind of, curious about. I was like, is he really going to give a shit that he was in an infomercial?
Right.
And he did. And he was interested in the strategy of it. And everybody that we have interviewed has been the same way. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like, and he was talking about too, like that he learned things from Mike in those 2 days. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, and I meant to follow up on it when he was saying like, and Mike was like setting him up for interviews after that. And I guess what it must have been was basically Mike would probably, his company, when after he had people on, would probably push them out to basically be doing media for Amazing Discoveries, more or less. Right. It's like, oh, if you put Scott out there, they're going to buy this. We get this share of his product. Because at first I was like, wait, were you like part of like his company, like that umbrella? But I guess it's probably more of what I've come to think of it as. Like, no, Mike is willing to do the legwork to also get you outside of Amazing Discoveries and keep selling the shit because he's already tied to it from, whatever that number is up front. And again, brilliant businessman, right? Like,
it's a system.
Great system.
It is. It,
Doing it here with the
I've-
print your own money system.
I haven't seen somebody have a name come into his head and have the reaction he did with Mike, and it immediately went to him passing away. Like you could feel that kind of come off of him, and means he probably hasn't really talked about him with many people in many years. He's got his ball team, he's got all this other stuff going on, and B, like the impact that a guy like that makes on you in every step of the way, like I think Mike probably did. It was kind of a special moment to have that with Scott.
Wait, I know.
That's where we
It
started.
totally just confirms what, all of the, we just armchairing all of our amazing discovery stuff. And we're like, there's got to be a big team here. He said there was,
He's like, "They're awesome.
He was like,
They're the best.
yep.
Like, we figured they had to be, but we haven't been able to confirm it yet. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Live audience confirmed all that.
Yep.
I mean,
But
come
no,
on. They
Scott was
brought
awesome.
their own laundry, man. Like they're there. How is steamer? Yeah.
BYOL.
Yeah. But man, so I can't wait to get that sweet OG swag, first of all. Can't wait
yeah.
for the Call Now field trip to meet up with Scott, whether it's this year in Worcester, next year in Springfield. I mean, Herkimer, it is beautiful out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a KOA, I heard.
Man, I was like, I'm sorry. BYOT, bring your own tent situation. Let's do it.
And laundry.
Yeah. Yeah. Have some fun. But yeah, that was awesome.
Legendary.
Yeah. Yep. I'm a little upset now again about my new numerology obsession with number 9 and things. His calendar. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that he got into it by just being really scared about Y2K and thinking that he had a way to fix it. Because he's like, my brain fixes everything, so let me just fix this.
Yeah.
The calendar says we're going to die. What if we change the calendar? Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
nice.
I think it's just misaligned. He's like,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. Nobody understands why it's not.
Rewire. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you talk about the number 9. I kid you not, my brother Matt, he sees the number 420 in everything. And he like takes photos of it. Like every time he looks up, it's 420. So I kind of wish I asked Scott that, but I also know the answer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you guys. That was fun. Thank you, Tim.
Tim.
Thank you, Scott.
Great.
Wow. Yeah. I'm in apartment 999. I'm gonna go up and have fun in my apartment. I hope you boys do the same. Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
I'll give you 9 kisses.
Bye. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, or follow on your preferred podcast medium. And for all things Call Now, visit callnowpodcast.com. And if you want to connect with the boys, you can find them at Call Now Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or send them an email at callnowpodcast@gmail.com. And if you can't fight the urge to pick up the phone and call now, you can leave them a voice message at 617-356-7439. If you call in the next 30 minutes, you might just be the next star of Call Now. Thanks again for listening. We hope you tune in next time to Call Now.
Thank you for listening. This has been a B+ effort. We'll try harder next time.